like it was food. So I really smell chicken over here. I kind of want some. I want some little tenders. I want some ramen. Yeah, we're about to
Hey guys,
go to Liz is crazy.
thanks for having me. So I got a very lightweight visual presentation here. But yeah, my name is Kris. I am here representing Dubset Media Holdings, and part of that is the future. Dubset is made up of 3 different parts, I guess. At the core of it is MixScan, which is our proprietary patent-pending technology. And then we have the Crate, and we have the Future.fm. And everything we do is about the DJ. DJ mixes or long-form audio content like podcasts. And so to give a little explanation of what we do and how we do it, we identified a gap in the market, which is that, you know, for the longest time, DJs have been, you know, they're ultimately, I would say, like the definition of a tastemaker. They take from all the music that's out there, they pick a certain selection, and that's what they present. So they're curating content for audiences, and oftentimes that's content that they don't own themselves. It's copyrighted, it was created by someone else. But there's been this kind of gray area where for many years, you know, the music industry has basically let them do this in a non-compliant way, as long as DJs don't try to monetize what they're doing or, you know, make money off it. As soon as they do, that's when they're, you know, subject to copyright, you know, infringement fines, or in the case of the internet, takedown notices, things like that. So we created a solution for that, and that is MixScan. And what MixScan does is kind of like Shazam on steroids. It takes long-form audio content, goes into it, identifies what all the different tracks are in that mix, timestamps them, and then basically identifies who the creator that is, who the artist is, who owns the rights to it, and then we create a fingerprint of all that information, that metadata, and we put it over the entire mix, and anytime someone streams that content thereafter, we generate an automated report, and then that report is issued along with a payment to the publishers. So it's a BMI, ASCAP, Sound Exchange, CSAC, and what that does then is that makes the mix legal. And what that does is then it allows us to not only monetize it, but for the first time ever, we have created a royalty model specific for the DJ as well. So we, you know, recognize and respect the DJ as an artist in their own right for what they create, and so we are, for the first time ever, paying royalties to DJs for the mixes that they've created. All that content that we accumulate, all those mixes, live sets, podcasts, goes into what we call the Crate. That's our library or repository of content. And then we, as a proof of concept, we created a consumer-facing platform called the Future FM. So it's the first fully legally compliant music streaming service that's all DJ mixes of every different type of genre, style, whatever you want to call it. And so basically, this just is you know, really quickly, why the DJ? Again, because the DJ is what we consider to be, the ultimate, you know, tastemaker, cultural curator. We've been doing that for a long time, but now technology has kind of caught up, and we're able to do what we're doing now, whereas maybe 10 years ago that just wasn't physically possible. So we want to give the DJ the opportunity to monetize what they do outside of just you know, spinning sets at gigs. And obviously in the United States, the prominence of the DJ has come up like very, very rapidly in the last few years. You know, I think it's DJs and chefs are like the new rock stars or whatever. And a lot of these DJs are actually producers that don't know any other way to really significantly monetize their content other than going out and spinning at festivals and things like that. So a lot of these big, globally recognized names, I mean, at the core, they're really just producers, but they figure out the way they make their money is by going and doing festivals. So We're trying to offer them an alternative, also something that's their own real estate, so in perpetuity they can generate revenue off of what the content they're creating. And so just some basic stats, I mean, a lot of what DJ Spin is not content that they themselves have produced, so it creates a legal or copyright challenge. So this is just a quick, I guess, diagram of the music ecosystem and specifically the part that we deal with and why it's broken. You have on the supply side up here, you have single tracks and albums, which there is already an established model on the internet now. You know, obviously iTunes and any other number of platforms that sell content. And those are for individual singles, albums. It may flow through the pipeline, which is, I guess, you know, these are stats we pull from various places, like a $60 billion marketplace. And then the demand is like streaming services like, you know, Pandora, Spotify, download sites like iTunes, Amazon, etc. The problem is that when you're dealing with long form content, no one has figured out how to get inside of that mix or that podcast and identify what's in there. And so none of that content at this point, or up until we came along, can be legally compliant. So a lot of it exists and it gets out there, but it goes out through things like live mixtapes or SoundCloud, all of which don't pay the artists any royalties. And you know, up until recently, a lot of people probably were like, "Who cares?" Or what? You know, why does that matter? But as of June of last year, the RIAA, you know, kind of taking the lead for the major labels at its back, jumped into the battle and started issuing its own takedown notices. And they started with 10,000 a week in June, and by December of this last year, they were up to 750,000 a week. So they're really going aggressively after anybody that's using like non-copyrighted material and distributing it. And a lot of DJs are feeling the pinch with that because they introduced this new technology that they're using on SoundCloud, for example, that basically doesn't even let you upload a mix if it identifies it as being someone else's copyrighted material. And that's, in some cases, accurate, other cases inaccurate, but either way, a lot of DJs don't have a place to put their music up and distribute it anymore. So that's the problem. In terms of additional challenges with this, you know, what we do is, besides the fact that we recognize the content in a mix, there's a lot of complexities to how you actually report all this stuff. So here's just a simple illustration. You know, a single track being 4 minutes. You got one performing artist, one mechanical rights owner, one digital rights owner, one composer, one listener equals 4 royalty data points. You multiply that out across a DJ curated mix of 30 to 40 tracks on 60 minutes. We're talking about 160 royalty data reporting points that need to be tracked, which, if you basically look at that and say you got a DJ that's getting 50, 60,000, you know, plays on a SoundCloud, you got to multiply 50, 60,000 times 160. And if you're an individual that doesn't understand all this, it's a pretty complex task to try to like stay legally compliant. So we do all this basically turnkey within the technology, and this is our solution. So you got the DJ, you got the crate, which contains the content, the analytics, royalty information. You have Mixscan, which sits in the middle, and dumps information out basically to the reporting agencies, the publishers on one side, ultimately makes data available for the labels, the DJs themselves on the other side, and then its outlet is a music platform. So right now we've applied it to our platform, which is the Future.fm, but ultimately the goal is for us to solidify everything we're doing with the platform. Really ultimately is gather as much content as physically possible in the crate. You know, currently we have, it's rapidly growing, but we are a startup, so we have like 15,000 unique mixes in there right now, but we're growing at a rate of probably, I would say a few hundred a week right now. And that, I would see that in the next couple of months, like really exponentially growing. But the point is that once we have finished deals that we are currently cutting with a number of the major distributors to implement our API and our technology as kind of the the official technology to verify whether a mix is legally compliant, then we have the ability then to take that technology out and make it available to the Pandoras of the world, the Spotifys of the world, whoever is streaming music, and then they themselves will be able to legally share DJ mixes to their audience base and users. Just like you would get a single track, you would get a 1 hour mix or a 2 hour mix or whatever it may be. So that's what we do. Yeah, the question was, does this work only if a DJ puts their music up online? Well, yes, it has to run through our server in some way, shape, or form in order for us to authenticate the mix. So there's things that we're actually doing in our current round of development, which will probably be ready in the next 60 to 90 days. One of which is an additional layer of integration where we have plugins that will increase our degree of accuracy by pulling the metadata right out of the DJ's computer. So whether they use Serato or Ableton or Tractor or whatever it is as a technology, it will pull all the information right out, so it'll make our matching of the content significantly more accurate. But also we are talking about integrating with that a technology that already exists from a partner company of ours that has a reporting mechanism that works in the clubs. So any DJ that's spinning a set in the club, if they're online with that system, it's automatically reporting exactly what they're doing. It doesn't do that, no. No, not yet. I mean, but the other component of that is we are introducing the live stream component, like I said, in the next 60 to 90 days. So as long as there's a connection going out from the venue, the DJ can live stream, live broadcast the set to anywhere in the world.
I know you guys have a bunch more questions, but I'm going to bring them all up at once for a speed question session. We're kind of short on time. The next person I'm going to bring